of class. And to kind of get us started, and we always do this in our classes as well, to gain some information about the students and to start building community. So we have a small group today. If you would like to share your introduction in the chat, that's fine. Or if you would like to turn on your microphone and share your introduction, that's fine too. So who wants to go first? I know, Zachary, you said that you're you have some audio issues going on, so if you want to share in the chat, that's perfect. Okay, so who wants to go ahead?
My name's Catherine Grant. I teach in the English department, and this semester I have all English 203 sections.
Good for you, Catherine. Good for you. That's awesome. Okay,
I'll
welcome.
go next. I'm Kathy. I also teach in English. This semester, I'm teaching career preparation for English majors. Let me see. Career preparation for English majors, technical editing, and 2 sections of English 103.
Okay,
and I'm a graduate of NIU as well, so keeps me busy.
All right. Well, that's awesome. A lot of preps there. Good for you. You can do it.
Oh, good Lord, so many.
You've got this. You've got this.
Love it.
Okay. Okay, Shakun, would you like to share? And you can share in audio or the chat. Either one's fine. Okay. So as people continue to put their information in, let's keep going. And think about just put in the back of your mind some of the experiences that you had with the first day of class. You can think about experiences you had as the instructor of the class or as a student in the class, and think about what went well, some of the challenges, and keep those in the back of your mind as we talk today. Okay, yes, and happy 2025 to you as well, Shakun. Thank you. And this is just something to think about when you send an email to the students. Let's say that you send an email before some sort of a message, whether it's an announcement or email, blog, however you communicate with the students the first time, or every time, but we're talking about the first time here, is if you put specific information in there about things they're supposed to do, and it's kind of a long message, just be aware that it's kind of human nature to kind of gloss over the content if it's a longer message, or even if it's a shorter message. You kind of just focus on, like for this session, okay, how do I get into it? Where's the link? Okay, I'm in. But if you included, or if I included other things, like bring a syllabus with you, or bring an example of something with you, then students might miss that because they're glossing over, or we might miss it in the trying to weed through all the information. So just keep that in mind. You might need to use reminders or ask directed questions to get them to focus on those key points that might have gotten glossed over. And it's human nature, we all do it. So it's just something that we deal with. Yeah, and Kathy's talking about the stats. Yes, the Blackboard tracks everything. And so, yes, it does tell where students have been focusing and things like that. Yes. Okay, so thinking about the first day of class, does anyone want to share a favorite first day of class story, something that kind of stands out to you that sort of leaves an impression that what really went well on that first day of class? Does anyone have something that kind of quickly pops to mind? If not, that's fine. If you want to share it later, that's fine too.
Oh my gosh, I have two. So,
Okay, wonderful. What's your
Um,
favorite one?
well, so I have a favorite one as a student, and then a favorite one as an instructor. What do you want me to start with?
Whichever one you want. Well, we're focusing on as the instructor, so pick that one.
Okay, well, so a memorable one for me is when we came back to teaching face to face, but we had to wear masks.
Mhm.
And I remember it was a very strange semester, of course, and I'm sure we've all had this experience where, first of all, you're worried that you're not engaging because so much of communication is your nonverbals, your facial expression, your engaging with students, memorizing their faces. And what I remember from that day is I can't really breathe. It was so hot, it's really still
Mhm.
summer when we begin again. And how am I ever going to engage with these students? And I was so worried the whole time that it just, like I'm not going to be able to engage with these students. I was so worried. And it turned into actually one of the best classes that I ever taught because I think the students had the same concerns as well. But a memorable thing then would be if I was outside walking across campus and an unmasked student would say hi to me and I wasn't really sure who they were because you fill in faces different than the faces actually look. So
That
it
is
was
really
just,
interesting.
yeah, such a reminder of two things, really, I guess, how much we depend upon that face-to-face interaction in that kind of classroom. And then also, it might be going way better than you think. It's not bad to worry just enough to try really hard.
That's a good point. Thank you for sharing that, Kathy. That we try really hard and know that the engagement is so critical, and so there are different indicators of how well it's going, and so that's awesome. Thank you, thank you. Does anybody else want to share an example of a favorite first day of class?
Well, I don't know if it was a favorite, but it was a different. Last January, I believe, on our first, what should have been my first day of school, we had
Mhm.
a blizzard, and I chose to take the class remote rather than commute to campus. Um,
Mhm.
and I had an activity in the course that Zoom day, to have the students change their Blackboard profile picture to a picture of themselves, because most of them haven't. And it was
Yeah.
really helpful for me throughout the entire semester because when I'm doing some grading online, if I, forget, like, is this Christy or Krista? And I had a picture right there that I could refer back
Mhm.
to.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Blackboard profiles, and that's one of the suggestions that is in this session today. Yes, it does help to build that community and the connections with the people. Yeah, that's a great example. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy, for sharing that. Oh, do you prefer to be referred to as Catherine? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm Catherine.
Okay, Catherine, thank you. Okay, thank you. That's awesome. So we have some interesting examples of first day of class. And what we're going to talk about today is planning, being prepared, building those connections because they're really important. And those pieces of information came up in the two examples that you all shared today. And engaging with students, being active on that first day, and logistics, how to handle those types of things in a balanced kind of a way. So starting the semester, some of the guidelines that we need to think about are, we want to plan it. We've been teaching for a long time, but still you want to have a deliberate plan for the session because have your specific goals. How are you going to make a positive first impression? How are you going to involve students quickly? Bring in why students, why the course is valuable, help them discover why it's important for them to be in the class, how it's going to benefit them. You want to have clarification of the learning objectives and course expectations, and you can split up some of these things and put them in Blackboard and then refer to them in some short activities so that you build the engagement. And then you also have the more detailed information in Blackboard. And then you have students work with that. And so you're building that engagement and rapport and community on that first day of class. And you can share course logistics in Blackboard as well. And so try to balance how you're going to have an effective first day of class, build those positive impressions, engagements, let students know that the first day of class is a model for how the semester is going to go. And we want the students to be engaged. So bring in engaging activities in that first day of class so that they understand that this is going to be a give and take active learning type of community rather than waiting for several weeks to bring in that engagement. If you wait several weeks, that can be a problem because they've sort of established their routines, and then they might not be as comfortable getting engaged. And you can even have some kind of a pre-class warm-up. You might create some sort of a short Qualtrics survey to ask them about why they're in the class, what their experiences with the subject matter, what their interests are, so that you can connect that all. And so again, you're using some of the online tools that we have and the engagement, whether it's synchronous, asynchronous, face-to-face, to kind of balance all of those and bring them together. In completing starting the semester, everybody's probably requested their course already. You can ask CITL to add you to the community where you can get the template for building your course. That helps. And Catherine talked about the profile. That's a good thing to do. Build yours, and then you can have students build theirs as well. And make the course available, customize your notifications, and help students to see they can customize theirs as well. So whatever preferences you have for getting notified about activities in the class, have students done their work or some of them behind, things like that, you can use these tips and the guides in the links. I'll send you this PowerPoint. There's links, and then you can follow how to set up those different notifications in Blackboard. And some of the things that you can do are in your introductions, you could have them do, let me see, what is first year? Kathy says, especially key with first year students, teach them how to navigate the course in Blackboard. Yes, that's a great tip, Kathy. And what you can do is you can create a short video that shows students how to navigate the course in Blackboard, and then post that in your course. And then you might use a short reference to that, maybe a quick review, but then if they need more details, you can have that how to navigate the Blackboard course video posted in your course so that the students can, if they need to go back to it again, if they're not familiar with it, then they can keep going back to it, and you've still addressed it on some level with the students, but then it's also available for them to review more than once. Okay, yes, guidance and repetition and giving them information in different ways definitely helps, yes. So the introductions, one of the things that I do is I have students introduce each other rather than introducing themselves, and I will give just a few prompts for them to answer. And so they're answering them and presenting about another student. And you can do this they could do short videos of that and post them, or they can do it in the face-to-face class. If you're doing it online, it is nice for building community that those short videos are captured in the course, because then they can go back and say, you know what, I remember somebody was interested in the same types of parts of the subject as they are, and they can kind of build community, or they have similar hobbies or something like that. And you could present the goals and objectives, the big picture, in different ways. You might have you could use infographic, let's say, or a concept map to share the goals and objectives. It doesn't have to be a, premier work of art. It could be a simple, you can see there's a concept map on the screen. But if you present the goals and objectives and the big picture in different ways, maybe you have an outline, then you have this infographic, it reaches more students, and sometimes they see the infographic and they say, oh, now I understand how that fits together. So that might be something to do. And when you're talking about expectations and class norms, if you bring the students in to that process of creating classroom norms, that helps to build buy-in and adherence to the norms, and you sometimes find that they actually create stricter norms than you might expect. And so it's kind of interesting to see each group has a unique personality and community, and so the norms can come up with some input from each of them. And there's a variety of different types of icebreakers that you can use to get the students involved actively right away. And so maybe you have them create a simple concept map of what they think are important for the norms, and then have them share that. Maybe you have small groups or partners. And so that's a way to get them actively involved and sharing with each other. And then they see, okay, we're going to be building this community. I'm going to be talking in the class, sharing the information on a regular basis. It's much easier to start that the first day of class and then build upon it, because they're all in the same situation. They're trying to learn about the class, trying to get comfortable. And so they see the expectation for engagement. And some people have done a syllabus scavenger hunt. Some people, I had one instructor who did a syllabus escape room. So, I mean, that requires a little bit more development, but I mean, whatever you want to do to try to have the students dig into the syllabus and find out those key pieces of information, that's going to help them to be successful, because they do need to know what the, those key requirements in the syllabus. And a number of years ago, when my daughter was an undergrad, she came home from for the weekend, and she was talking about a syllabus scavenger hunt type thing that they did. And she was kind of, suggesting, well, it really wasn't. I don't know why we did that. So I started asking her some questions. And, questions to ferret out what she learned in that and what she knows about the class and things like that. And so at some point she said, gosh, I really do know a lot about that class now. I know when the assignments are due. I know, how the communication standards are and all these things. And she said, yeah, I guess I really did kind of learn from that. So that was an interesting experience with my daughter. Kind of having that light bulb moment that it really was a beneficial activity. And learning their names. And Kathy was talking about remembering the names. And Catherine was talking about filling out the profile and adding a picture. And you can ask them to write something about themselves, introduce each other in class. And one of the things that I do when I teach freshman students and face-to-face, I have them use name tense, and then I'll have them on the back of it, I'll have them write if there's some question that they still have about the session that day. I have them write the date. If there's something they need help with, do they have a light bulb moment, something that really stands out to them about that session. And you can, it's a simple way to gain some information. It's non-threatening, they're just writing on the back of a piece of paper. You could do this also in a journal if you're doing an online class. But I find that they do share questions, and maybe if they're having stress about something, then I can be sure to address that with them or with the whole class if there's something that everyone is kind of needing additional information about. And we had Sarah Kavanaugh speak at our NIU at a Teaching Effectiveness Institute a few years ago, and she talks about emotions and learning. She's studied it quite a bit in her research, and so curiosity and that enthusiasm, what are you going to do to really get them excited about the class? And ask them, what are they interested in? And, you can talk about why you love this subject. And I teach research courses, and I love research. And so when I talk about it, the students say, wow, you really get excited about this. And so they can kind of see, okay, you know what, there's something here. Maybe I should, be open to this, and maybe I should continue to look for what sparks their curiosity. But when there's a connection with that, with the emotions and the learning and the excitement, enthusiasm, they're going to be more engaged. They're going to work harder. They're going to learn, and they're going to be able to retrieve and remember the information and retrieve it because it's connected to something that is important to them. Yes, the spark of, yes, that's exactly it. Yes, thank you, Kathy. Yes. She's really, it's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. The Spark of Learning by Sarah Kavanaugh. Yep. Thank you, Kathy. Appreciate it. So you can check out that link that Kathy shared to find more about Sarah Kavanaugh's research, because she is a leading scholar in the area of connecting emotions and learning. But if we can keep that enthusiasm, the faces of those children, and they're on the other ones, their hands are raised, so they're really engaged in these activities. That's when the sparks and the learning and the aha moments are really going to happen. And logistics, share these things in, yes, childlike wonder. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Sharing the logistics in Blackboard is a way to make sure they have it. And you're also not spending an entire class session on those things, but they're important. So that's that syllabus. Maybe you do a quick set of questions, scavenger hunt type of thing for that. So they hit the hot points, but the detailed information is in Blackboard, and you're spending that first session really getting that curiosity and building the engagement and making sure they have the core information, but providing it in a different way. And it's persistent information in Blackboard, so you don't have to worry about them not having it. And then the communication expectations are important. That's something that you want to make sure that they understand, and setting the expectation for when you will respond, what time frame you'll respond, and highlighting that when you're talking to them, because we live in an instant information world, and so someone might send a text or an email or information on Blackboard to you, and if you don't have if you don't have established communication expectations, saying such as you'll respond within X number of hours or 24 hours or whatever it is, then the students might get the idea that it's taking a long time because they're accustomed to these quick responses. So you want to set that up and make them understand that you will respond within so many hours, whatever that is for you, what's workable. If you're going to respond on the weekends, whatever that standard is for you. And then Kathy talked about explaining how to navigate the online course. And so you can address that, and you can have a more detailed video in Blackboard. And you can also put in Blackboard the links for student support, because there's a lot of student support available through our Division of Information Technology team. When I was a student, I used all of that support. And so I would encourage you to share that with the students as well. The learning and expectations. Sometimes you might have students try a task before they're ready. You might do a simple task on the first day of class to kind of get a baseline of where they are, and then you can help them through the process. Ask students what techniques help support their learning the best, and so that will help you to know when you're teaching. If you have a lot of students that prefer to learn through video or through working with partners or through individual activities or whatever, that will help you to know how to address their needs and balance that in the mix of how you're teaching and using collaborative techniques in the class while you're having them be actively engaged. Okay, and so we talked about the course relevance and expectations. Okay, great. Welcome back, Catherine. Before the first day of class, you might send out a survey. We talked a little bit about that. You might start, if there is some kind of a final project that you have, or maybe midterm project, you might do some scaffolding and get them started on kind of aligning their focus on whatever the topic and project is the first day, and then scaffold from there. And because that helps them to see, okay, it's first day of class, we are engaged, we are talking about goals and assignments, and we're building up to that. And so they are going to be more engaged. Their interest is going to be piqued because they see, okay, we're getting right to it. And so we need to pay attention and be engaged. And self-reflection is a really important part of learning. And I include a lot of self-reflection in my courses. When I have students work on an activity, I'll have them at the end of almost every activity, I'll ask them some question about, what was the biggest challenge? What could they do differently? What, based on their experience with this particular project, how would they plan the next project? Do they need to explore development of certain other skills? Maybe they could explore the student support services that we have. And I would encourage you to share those as well, because NIU does have extensive student support services. So if you share those in Blackboard, then and highlight them, then when they're self-reflecting, they might say, oh, maybe I should really stop by the writing center or the math support or whatever. And I've had a number of students do this, and then they started going to the library because, of the self-reflection and using the support services over there. And sharing the expectations and policies in Blackboard. Some of the techniques you can use, you can have a non-graded assessment, a formative type of assessment. You can give them additional resources and set expectations that are clear. And those are simple ways to use, to provide, to gain some information on the where they are in terms of learning with this formative non-graded assessment. And then you provide them additional resources, and Blackboard is a great place for that. And then have the expectations clear. So they know where they stand and they're not confused, because then they can really get to the business of learning and engaging. If we're not clear on our expectations or how our Blackboard is set up or how we're teaching a session, then the students can get confused, and then they have to use bandwidth, mental bandwidth, to try to figure out where they're supposed to navigate in Blackboard, or what is the goal of this activity, or what am I supposed to do for this assignment. So that's why we want to be clear and thoughtful about our expectations and the resources we provide, so that they really can delve into the deeper learning. And some people put an open discussion for Q&A in their Blackboard course. Does anybody do that?
I do an activity on day one. I call it interview the instructor, but I don't have it open throughout the semester. It's usually just my day one questions.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Great idea. Thank you, Catherine.
I have done that with Yellow Dig. Created a forum really for students, and then you can set up the badges and everything there. I took the Yellow Dig workshop some years back, and I thought it worked out really well, especially with upper division courses. Students really, they go to each other for help, and and I told them from the beginning, I'm actually not going to touch it much. I'll probably look at it every week or so, and it was a great way for them to support each other.
Yeah, that's a great example, Kathy, of using Yellow Dig. And so you clearly set the expectation that, okay, this is really a place for the students to ask questions and support each other, and you as the instructor check in, but it's really a place for them. That's awesome. Thank you. And Catherine, in the interview the instructor, what do you have them ask?
I tell them they can ask me anything. Day one, they can ask me anything about me, about my personal life, and I say within reason. And they can ask about my previous experience. They can ask me future questions about the course, about the syllabus, about a service provided. I remind them that these are in a discussion board so that everybody can see what they're asking me. So I say, if it's private, just email me. I say, if I can answer it quick, I go through all of the questions day one. And I said, if it takes a little more time for me to get you an answer, I will put the reply into the discussion board so that everybody can see it.
Yeah, that's terrific. That's
Great idea.
terrific. Thank you. Okay, thank you. And then building community, as we said, it starts on day one. And we've been talking about the various techniques for that. And humanize yourself to your students. And Catherine, like you said, you interview the professor. And that's a great way to humanize yourself to the students and greet each student if possible. Foster that conversation between the students. And Kathy, the idea of the yellow dig, that's mostly a discussion between students, but then you check in periodically. That's a great way for them to continue those conversations. And we want to make sure we have a positive and inclusive and culturally responsive tone. And sharing, we share resources. We want to make sure that we share about a wide range of different communities and represent diverse groups, so that when the students are learning, they can see themselves in the subject matter and in the profession. And so we're showing that there's a representative and culturally responsive community. And the reflective activities can also help to build community.
Another thing that's kind of really simple that I've taken to doing over the last few years is I'll start class by reminding students of things that are going on campus that they might be interested in.
Yeah.
And I know they get that in so many other forms, but especially in first year courses, in some ways, our courses are sort of like a homeroom. And even like reminding them that it's Food Truck Wednesday, or that there's some activity on campus or music or whatever it is. It gives them an opportunity to feel like part of the Husky community more broadly too. And I think it's important for instructors to play a role in that.
Yeah, that's an excellent example, Kathy. And you can put the links in. Those events are categorized. So yeah, that's a great idea. And I did that. I taught a first year student seminar, and so some of that was also included having them go to some of these events. And if you can find some that connect with your topic or some way can connect with your course, then you can build that into your curriculum as well. Yes, and that is
the PIC museum can be great for that, especially in a writing course. We can do our writing version of whatever's going on there, and they're really supportive over there too.
Yeah, that's a great example, because they'll host your class and give them a walkthrough of what's going on. Yeah, that's a great idea. And it builds, as you said, the community in the course, but beyond and into the Husky community, which is really important. We know for student success and retention, especially if you're working with the brand new students, but for all of them. Yes. Awesome examples. Thank you. And then you can post welcome messages in a variety of different ways in your courses. What I'll do is I'll post some written, but then also post a video of so that it's part of that humanization of the professor, and creating a welcoming environment, and they can see, okay, see your personality, see that you're open to helping them. I will share, why I'm excited about the course. It's a brief video, but it's to provide a welcome and kind of give them an idea of the course, and humanize. Then on the instructor page, I'll have a brief bio. And then for weekly greetings, just a short, but it's, we have these modules in Blackboard, and we have activities for each week. And so I'll do a short greeting of, okay, we're talking about this week. This is the main focus. This is what you're expected to do. Just a short, okay, welcome. And so every week, they see that. And then if we have face-to-face classes or blended or asynchronous or whatever, you're still seeing this consistent rhythm of these short messages and the welcomes. And they're simple to do, but they do make a difference in building that community and humanizing the course. And Kathy was talking about Yellow Dig. You can use Yellow Dig, or you can use other ways to create short videos of introductions. Reflections. Does anybody use reflections on their in their teaching much?
Oh my gosh, in English, it is built in to the
Good.
to the expectations. Students reflect on every single assignment,
Okay.
and they do a final reflective portfolio at the end with an original essay. But we really work on it all the way through, and it's so interesting. I've had them do it a few ways. One thing I did with one of my last ones last term is I actually had them interpolate their reflections, so almost like gloss their own essay, do a paragraph and then write about their thinking in the paragraph.
That's
And
awesome.
you could already see things in their reflections that should have been in the essay, and see them finding places where they could have expanded, because sometimes explaining and reflecting on their idea, explaining their thinking, freed them in a way that it felt like the formal writing didn't. So it's such a good idea, such a useful tool.
Yeah, that is really interesting. It's like they say, with you, so you're reflecting on it, or if when we teach, we learn so much. So yeah, they're analyzing their own work. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And takes that learning to the critical thinking and application, and
And you
then they
can
can.
find really good examples online of that for other people that are interested in it. The New York Times does or did for a long time essay contests, and then they have a section, and some other publications have this too, where they ask the writers to share their reflections on what they wrote. So you can actually you can show students examples of how other people have gone about it, and just helps to show that, reflection is part of our everyday lives anyway. You come home from a movie, you're discussing it with whoever you saw it with, you go to a new restaurant, you're critiquing the food, you get to the end of your day and you second guess everything you said to everybody. I mean, reflection is part of our lives, so we're just kind of making it more apparent.
Yes, making the kind of invisible visible. Yes.
Exactly.
Yep. Thank you. That's great. Those are great insights. Okay, so we talked a lot about having a plan and being prepared, and ways to build connections and community, and engaging the students in learning on that first day, and even setting it up before the course starts. So courses are going to start soon, so you might be sending out your welcome message before that first day of class. So think about those types of things and techniques that you might use. So does anyone have any final things that you'd like to share about the first day of class, and techniques that you might use to build that community and engagement? Go
Not
ahead,
really about
Kathy.
the first day of class, but especially since you mentioned the creativity and emotion and the connection to learning, the current Pick Museum gallery display is actually about playfulness. And so finding ways to work that in could give students a chance to connect with another resource on campus, and also provide some opportunity for writing, research, reflection.
Yes. Oh, yes. The research on playfulness is really, really interesting. Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
I
And we
think
can
it's
use, go ahead,
Oh.
Catherine.
some of the things you said though about making a plan, but I make my plan, but I write it out in Blackboard. So instead of just having the loose plan in my head, like I've done it, for 15 years, if I don't write it down, I could get flustered on day one because day one's hectic. So I have a
Mhm,
written plan, and it might just be notes that make sense to nobody but me. But this way,
mhm,
I'm not forgetting it, and I see what the flow feels like, and I know exactly where I want to go to next. That way, I don't
mhm.
accidentally forget to do this one thing with the first class.
Yes, that is an excellent point. And I do the same thing because, it's kind of like an outline for how you're going to run the class and the different activities and the key points and everything. Yes, and like you said, it's a hectic day, and having it written down is helps you to make sure that you hit those main points. And it gives you, I feel, a sense of calm because, okay, it's kind of hectic, people are strolling in, they can't find the classroom or whatever, but you have your notes. So yeah, that's an excellent suggestion. Thank you, Catherine. And Kathy put the link to the Pick Museum. Yes, that's great. Thank you. Yes. And yes, a daily plan. I do that too. A daily plan for every session like that. And yes, but yes, flexibility is imperative as well. Um, yes, so we plan and then we punt as we need to. Um, Terrific, terrific. Well, thank you very much for your engagement and for your commitment to NIU students and the community. It's deeply, deeply appreciated. And know that our CITL team is here to support you, and we have lots of resources. And like I said, I'll send you the PowerPoint, so get a hold of us. We have a team of lots of experts to help, and you can set up meetings with us. So thank you all very much, and I wish you an incredible spring 2020 semester. Go Huskies!
Yeah, go Huskies in Mountain West. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But yeah, that's a discussion for another day.